Hello there. Hello, no one. Bruce Rain from Braggers Creations. I've got work to do, and I thought I would just do one of my workshop and wine streams. So if you're not familiar with these, that's where I basically bring down some wine and I drink it while I'm sort of working. Pedro147, hello there. So yeah, I basically drink and I work on stuff and I complain a lot while I'm doing it. That's just sort of how it works. So Pedro wins the award for first here. Yeah, it is. What time is it? 5:20 here in Sydney. My missus is having a night out, and so I got the place to myself. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to do a workshop and wine special. Tonight I am doing something which is, I don't know, maybe interesting to some, maybe not. I am hopefully going to finish off the Macintosh 2FX board, reloaded board, that I built for Kai Robinson, who, this is the board here, as it stands, and we still have a few missing things. We've got a few connectors up the top here that are missing. We've got our great big PDS slot here, a couple of floppy connectors. What else? I'm not going to put the ATX thing on. He can put that on if he wants. I've got to stick battery holders on it. I think that's it. There's really not that much, to be honest. We're very, very nearly finished. This has already been tested. It works. We've got all the RAM slots here. We've got some RAM in there. What else? Oh, there's a connector there for connecting up a hard drive. That's for the Molex. Yeah. So it's looking good. Heh. So anyhow, I have to get these connectors that are here off an existing board. And one of the problems with that is, well, it's a fucking nightmare. But we'll crack on. Because that's how we do things here. We do things here and complain about them the whole time. Now, looking at this board, I've got a board here. I'm just going to change over to the top view. You've seen enough of my ugly head. This is a board. Not a lot of room for it on the table here, unfortunately, which is a bit of a poop. But that's life. Let's get rid of this. Now I'm going to heat up. I'm going to heat up this board. This board's going to get cooked, so I can get some of these connectors off. But the problem I have is that some of these pins you can't really see from this. If I might be able to zoom in, you might see it. You might see it if I zoom in. Oh, that's a good zoom, isn't it? Hey, is that a good zoom? Some of these pins you can see are bent over. Okay? And they did that during assembly. They put them in, they bent the pins to hold the thing in the position. And the problem is that if I then apply heat to this, I won't be able to get this out. The pins will get left behind. So the first thing I have to do, what the hell is that on my finger? The first thing I have to do is get my trusty soldering iron, which I just did a product review on. I hope everyone has had a chance to see it. Get my soldering iron and bend these pins back into straightness. I'm not trying to make any statements about bent things being forced into being straight. I'm not making any statements about that. I'm just talking about getting this thing off. So, I think probably the best tip I could use for this would be one of these little wedgy, chisely, knifey things. I think I've got a decent sized one here. There it is. So, I've got this tip here, and I am going to put that into my iron. There we go, just pop that up there. Okay, so there's my tip, and I am now heating that up to within an inch of its life, and then I might even use the scope for this. Oh, this is smoky. On top of old smoky. Oh, dip, I lost my thing. It was always going to happen. Okay. Gotta go. No worries. I'll just sit here and talk to myself. It's all fine. Thank you for popping in. If there's anyone else here, please jump on and say hello. Anyone new to this, this is basically, I do these repair live streams all the time, but what I'm actually doing tonight is a little bit different because I'm, first of all, doing it at a different time. I would normally do my live streams early in the day. It's evening now, it's 5:25. The sun is just setting, and I am, oh, you gave me a like, thank you, I appreciate that. And I am basically having a few drinks and doing some repairs. So this is a Macintosh 2FX board, and I am in the process of getting it ready to remove some components from it to put them onto. This is a bad board, bad board, and I'm going to take some components off and put them on a good board. Now I apologise for how yellow this is. I'm having some problems with my microscope camera, and I think I'm going to have to replace it. Ultimately, it's not storing the settings when I go in into the menu and change the settings. They're not storing them every time I switch it off and on again. It goes back to default. And one of its annoying things in its default is its white balance. It does this auto white balance. Now the auto white balance is no good. No good for this, because I put something like this under it, which is just like a weird color, and it tries to white balance off it, and it's just, it's not good. So I'll stop whinging. I don't care what happens to this board at all, because it is, it's in a terrible shape. This one got damaged by a battery, and so all of this, we're making a mess of these, what do you call, traces. I really don't care about that. Okay, let's hit. Right, I think I might be better off doing it this way. Jeez, my voice did something weird then. I felt like I was just going through puberty there for a sec. Okay. Now guys, I do want to bend these pins, but I do not want to break them. So it's a very fine line that we walk today. There we go, there's two more bendies. So just reiterating, these pins were bent during assembly. Someone put this component in, and then they bent the pins so that this would not fall out. And then they soldered it. And that's all great when you're putting something together. It ain't great when you need to pull something apart again. This is where I'm sort of like, I always have such a heavy focus on rework. That's what I refer to it, rework. So that is when we're not just putting things together, we're also potentially pulling things apart. Okay, if you're watching and you haven't said hello, jump into the chat and say hello. Unless, of course, I do have a limit that you've got to be, you've got to be a subscriber for, I think, 1 minute before you can put in a chat. And that's mainly just to keep the bots away more than anything. Yeah, how hard is it to subscribe for 1 minute? Not hard at all. So. All right, so if anyone's wondering, I'm drinking a Semillon Sauvignon Blanc blend, something we do very well here in Australia, and something that definitely does a good job of getting me a little bit drunk. Right, so that's there. That's there. All right, so I've already got a couple of connectors. I've just got to remove serial ports and ADB ports. So let's get on to this now. Oh, look at the bend on this pin. This is going to be a nightmare. Josh Hayes, hello there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I've just been talking to myself now. Be good to have someone else to talk to, because Pedro had to leave. Okay. Bend. I do worry about doing this. These soldering iron tips were not meant to do this. And I do always worry about accidentally snapping them. I have done that before. I have snapped a tip before when I was trying to use it for a task it was not designed for. Unfortunately, because of the time that I'm live streaming, quite a few of my regular US viewers are simply not able to watch. The other day I was even chatting to Jay from the House of Moth and Dana from Dana Does Stuff. Don't believe it. Dana doesn't do anything. And they were saying, oh, we need another workshop in wine. I said, yeah, it'd be great. I definitely need to do a workshop in wine. Then I said, this time I said, yeah, I'm going to do a workshop in wine. And I'm going to start it at probably about 5 o'clock, which is like 4 o'clock your time or 3 o'clock your time. And they're like, no, we're not going to be able to make that. I'm like, come on, where's your dedication? I am working on a Macintosh 2FX, Josh. So just a quick little background. I will just, can I press a button? There we go. So I built this board. I built this. This is a Macintosh 2FX Reloaded board. Now, I didn't design it. This is designed by Boll, an incredibly clever person, who basically took the original schematics of this and redesigned the board. And he did it in such a way that it actually is better than the original one. And he's added extra stuff, like he's made it so you can power this from an ATX power supply if you want. You can just stick a standard ATX connector on there and power it from ATX. What else has he done? Other things. He's made it so you can stick, coin cell batteries on here instead of the standard half AA's if you want. Just clever stuff. I'm just, I'm always dazzled by his awesomeness. Anyhow, this is mostly built, but it's still got a few things missing from it. So I need to put on a PDS slot and a few connectors, but I need to get them off this donor board. As you can see, this donor board has been raided, heavily raided. Nick is here. Hello there. Wine without you. So anyhow, this is the one that's been raided, and I've still got a few more parts to get off this. So I've got to take off PDS slot, floppy connectors, these connectors up here. I don't think I have oh no, yeah, I put a new SCSI port on. Why put an old one on? That would just be stupid. And so I've got to get the 2 serial ports, an ADB connector. That I've already got on there. PDS slot, 2 floppy connectors. I think that's it. I mean, we'll figure it out as we go. I'll get these things off. Okay, floppy connectors. Let's get these off. But as I was just saying before, one of the big problems I have... MacMan142, hello there. One of the big problems I have with removing these components is when you go and look at this under a microscope. Oh, these ones are great. These ones are fine. A lot of the time they bend pins. I'll give you some examples somewhere here. Here we go. They bend pins for putting these components on. So they put the components in, they bend the pin, and then they solder them in. And when I go to remove them, bent pins are a real pain in the bottom. So, yeah, I've got to unbend them before I can remove them. But I think we're pretty good. What about that thing? Did I have done that thing? Yep, I've done lots of things here. So many things. Oh, and I need this little thing here. I might even be able to get this out. I'll probably be able to get this out without the need for the hot thing. So I'm just going to get this. We'll bend these pins. It's a good old Molex connector. They're always nice, solid pins on a Molex connector. I can buy new ones of these, but I don't have one. So we're going to put an old one on. Tough. I don't care what happens to this board. This board is... This is rubbish. Or trash, as my American brethren would say. You're cooking your first bolognese. Okay, well, the first thing you need to do is learn how to spell it. This is only my first glass. This is relatively new. This is an open bottle. I opened it yesterday. I drank some of it last night. So I've nearly finished the bottle. Let's take nearly out of that sentence. But I haven't had this whole thing tonight. This is literally only my second glass. So I'm still pretty good, man. And I'll go and grab another bottle as soon as this glass is finished. My missus is out tonight. Partying? Well, that's probably an over-exaggeration. Catching up with friends. And so I just thought it'd be a great opportunity to come down here, do my thing, you know? Better treat her right. That's a nice 1980s song there by, was it Diana Ross? No. Who was it? No, it wasn't Diana Ross. It was, oh crap, what's her name? I can see a face. Someone will think of it. Spag bol. Yeah, that's a good way to spell it. I make a beautiful bolognese, I have to say. It is a lot of work. I mean, when I do it, my wife loves it. So, Donna Summer, thank you. I knew the name was in there somewhere. Yeah, spag bol. I mean, I make mine slightly unconventionally. I make it to suit me, so I put a bit less tomato in there than a lot of people would normally expect. Because too much cooking with tomato tends to give me a little bit of heartburn. So, yeah, I tend not to go heavy. I'd put tomato in there, don't get me wrong, but just not as much as probably traditionalists would put in. But I always make it very, very meaty and yummy. I'm going to start putting zucchini in it. I haven't in the past, but I'm going to start putting zucchini in it. I cooked with zucchini the other night, and I was really happy with it. So I'm going to start sticking zucchini in my spag bol. Right. Zucchini is a great vegetable because it just sucks up all the flavour of everything around it. Down to Victoria, but heading up to the Gold Coast for a week tomorrow. Oh, nice. Nice, yeah. So Victoria, my sister lives in Victoria. I don't get down there as much as I would like to, but yeah. So I'm just checking now to make sure all these things are ready to remove, because once I put this on the hot plate, there's no turning back. Yeah. Don't need that. So I just need those. I need those two. I need that. This board's warped to the shithouse because it's been sitting on the hot thing. I should really probably remove that. I've got to remove that at some stage because that'd be a good thing to just have on file. On file. Is that what you call parts? No, that's not what you call parts. Okay, so I am going to move my wine glass because I have to start putting the hot shit up here. Oh, geez, I hope I don't blow a fuse. How embarrassing would that be? If the stream just suddenly stops, just sit tight, because I will be able to fire it up again. This is the hot plate. Just going to change to the top view, and we'll zoom out a little bit because we're going to up. There we go. All right, so I'm going to plug some power into this one. 230 of our Australian volts. I'm going to go into this. Always makes my heart skip a beat because every time there's any sort of change in power, this screen just blinks off and then it comes back on again. So it comes on, it's like, ooh dear. Yeah, I cannot see any way zucchini would be a bad thing to add to a spag bol. Freezing in... Oh, that's no good. It's interesting. I caught up with my cousin and his wife last night, and they've been up in Queensland for a couple of weeks. Well, not just Queensland. They've been travelling up the coast because they're from the US. I mean, my cousin was born here, but he lives in the US now. And he was travelling... He and his wife are travelling up north, up to Queensland in the car, and then back down again. And... apparently the weather was beautiful up there. Really nice. I mean, still gets a bit fresh in the morning, you know? A little fresh. But definitely warmer than here. It's been raining here for friggin' ages. It's been driving me bananas. Banoinkers. I made a video today. I don't even know if I'm going to publish it. But it's a little quick tip for Final Cut Pro. It'll be interesting to see if anyone's interested. I'm going to run it past a few of my other YouTube friends who use Final Cut Pro and just say, hey, do you see any merit in actually publishing this video? Just see what they say. All right, I've just got to wait for this to heat up. It does take a while. It's currently on 108 degrees Celsius, or centigrade, depending on how you like to say it. Where'd I put the board? Here it is. Now, I think the one thing I want to get out the mostest, I'm going to have to do this in stages because obviously this board's too big. So I want to probably start off with these three guys here. This is the most important one. Now, one of the good things is that if this does come out and leave some pins behind, I can remove those pins manually and stick them back in again. They literally just clip back in. It's like if you lift this off and there's a whole bunch of pins still in there, it's not like, oh my God, I've just broken it. It's not like that at all. So, got that there, cool. How's everyone been? How's everyone's day been? Once again, if you're watching this and you haven't jumped on and said hello, please jump on and say hello. This could get interesting. I make no promises, but it could get interesting. This thing is about to get up to 330 degrees Celsius, all right? Now, that's hot, okay? Now, if I drink a little bit too much and I am not being careful about what I'm doing, there's a very good chance I'm going to burn myself and hurt myself. And that makes good viewing. So just stick around. You never know. I have 2 donor boards. I didn't take all of the components off this one. I took some off another board, but that other board was in a pretty bad way. There's a battery explosion up here in this area, and it just damaged stuff here, left, right, and center. So, yeah. Yeah. I've got a 2FX board myself with battery damage. It might even be this one. This might be the one that I used. I got an actual 2FX recently, and so I didn't really care about the one that needed repairs anymore. I'd worked on it for a while on live streams, and it was a bit of fun. Beachside Tech, hello there. Welcome. Cheers. I'm only 2 glasses in. Well, 1.5 glasses in. But I did finish off the bottle with a second glass, so I'm going to have to go out and get another bottle in a moment. It's in the freezer at the moment because I thought it could benefit from a little cooling because it won't be refrigerated in here. Okay. So, yeah, basically just waiting for this to get hot. I've got a thermal camera here. They're always exciting. I love thermal cameras. I didn't expect to end up in this predicament, but I now have 4 of them. So basically what happened is I bought one and paid a lot of money for it. And it's a Fleur. And it's not very good. Okay, it has lots of problems. Okay, it works as a thermal camera, it does, but it's very low resolution, and it's one that plugs into the phone, and it has a battery in it, and if the battery's not charged, it won't work connected to the phone. It doesn't draw power from the phone, and that's really dumb because it has the tiniest battery in it and only lasts for a very short amount of time. And then I reviewed this one. I did a product review of this one. This is a Vevor, and this is impressive. I like this. So I did a product review of this one. And then I got contacted by a company, P2 Pro, something like that. And they sent me their thermal camera. That's this one here. It's in a Fleur container, but it's not a Fleur. That's this little one here. Infiray P2 Pro. And that was really impressive. Okay, that works with the phone as well, but it draws the power from the phone. It's very small, high resolution, high refresh rate, really, really good. And then I got another one from Kai Wheats. And then Kai Wheats want to send me another one now too, which looks good actually, so I might get them to send it. The only problem is product reviews take so long to do. Well, to do them the way I do them. And, you know, maybe people are like, you don't need to do that, but that's just how I like to do it. I like a product review to be a little bit like a try before you buy. I don't want it just to be someone saying, hey, I like this and I like that. I like it to be, this is how it works. These are the features that it has. Look at the menu. Look at this. You can click and do that. And so it's like if I handed it to you and you had an opportunity to play with it for a while. That's what I sort of want the product review to be like. I really want it to be a proper like try before you buy type thing. And yeah, so anyhow, this is now getting to, what does it say? It's 129, 146. We should be getting close enough to melt solder soon. What I will typically do when I'm doing this, now at the moment it's raised off the heat, so because it's bent, I'm going to have to bend it down. But what I usually get is a little bit of solder like this, and I just plonk it on there. And when that beads, then I can get an idea that it's melted. Enjoyed the soldering iron review, made me want to upgrade. Yeah, well, I'm absolutely what's the word? There's a word, I can't think of it, but I'm really pleased with it. And I am, yeah, it's now my new soldering station. Went and bought some new tips for it. These JBC C245 and C210 tips, they're really impressive. They heat up really fast. I'm looking around at the moment because I need something to push this down onto the board, but I don't want it to be my hand because it's hot. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. While I'm up, I'm going to go get some more wine. So sit tight. I'll take you with me. And you won't be able to see me, but you'll be able to hear me. So I'll just get this. Something's burning. Oh yeah, I know what's burning. Okay, there we go. Glass of, or bottle of wine. Let's get a screwdriver. I saw a screwdriver here the other day. Let's grab a screwdriver. This will be perfect. Yeah, I like it. Okay. Coming back, try not to trip on anything, break it, you know, normal stuff. I have a lot of stuff in here. It's necessary. You need stuff. Everyone needs stuff. Russell Zorner, hello there. Still haven't found a bench iron setup than the one I already enjoy, but not everyone wants to drop 300 to 400 on them. This is exactly what I said in my product review. And that is that, you know, in the price of this soldering station that I just recently reviewed is probably a little bit high just for the casual solderer, because there are some really cheap options out there. But compared to some of these really high-end stations, the price is actually really good. I don't know which station you have there for that price, but yeah, I'm not prepared to. Well, when I say I'm not prepared to spend that much, I did spend that much. That's how much I spent. It was probably more than that actually when I bought my Hakko. And the Hakko has a lot of advantages, but I feel like things have got better since then. The world has progressed past T12 tips. T12 tips. I've got these. I love these ones. This one's been messed around with a little attachment on it, but this is like the TS100, TS101, something like that. TS101. And then I've got a TS102 or something. This one here. These are always good backups, you know. You want backup soldering irons. So this one is, I hate the interface on this. This is a TS101. I think the other one's a TS100, something like that. But, you know, the interface on those is just so garbage. Here we go. This is starting to come off. Sort of. Either that or I'm just pulling the pins out. So I'm just holding this down onto the hotbed thingy so that it gets nice and toasty. My little blob of solder here still hasn't melted. You can't see that, but that's my little blob of solder there. Hasn't melted yet. So it's the heat isn't enough to actually melt solder on this side of the board. Okay, what do we got? Not many people are casually reballing chips. Yeah, I don't even reball anymore. I mean, it sounds weird to say, doesn't it? I used to do a lot of reballing. There we go. That's off. Happy about that. And that's off. Floppy connectors. That's a very, very good thing. I used to, when I was repairing like Macs and stuff like that, modern Macs. But of course now I work money on the vintage stuff and they don't use BGA. So there's no BGA in any of those old things. So look, it's a good skill. It's a skill that I'm glad I learned. I'm glad I learned to reball chips, but I don't do it anymore. But, you know, you never know when you might need to, so that's a good thing. Well, that went really, really freaking well. They just came out. I lost no pins or anything. That's like happy, happy joy. Okay, so now we're going to move this up this way because I've got to get things off from this part of the board. I will try not to knock over my wine. Otherwise, I'll be very, very upset. I'm an Australian and we do not like to have our alcohol knocked over. Right. Okay, now we'll wait for this to get hot. And I'm going to try not to burn myself. So, question: when you're reballing chips, Russell, are you someone who uses solder paste, or do you use those little containers of individual balls where you just get balls of a particular size and you put individual balls in each little hole of the stencil? Because I've always been a solder paste person, but I saw someone doing that with the actual balls. So they buy little jars of balls of a particular size, and then they just drop them in, and only one ball goes in each hole in the stencil, and then they do it that way. But yeah, I've always used paste. Okay. Work use solder balls unless they were in a hurry and didn't have the right size on hand. Yep, okay, fair enough. It's probably better, as I say. I mean, the way I was doing it, I was very, I didn't do a lot of solder reballing, I'll tell you. I maybe, for a while there, I was doing it, I don't know, semi-regularly, maybe a couple of times a month, something like that. Yeah, that's sort of, those days are gone. I much prefer working on this vintage stuff, but I don't regret working on the modern stuff, because that gave me an incredible appreciation for very fine work, working with really, really small components. So what is it? The smallest ones I've ever worked on are 01005s. They suck. I really don't like them. 021, 0201, 0402, 0603, 0805. No issue with any of those sorts of sizes. But when you do that first, and then you come back to using these things that are just gigantic, everything's huge. It's great. It's wonderful. It actually makes this stuff, I think, more enjoyable. Okay, so I've got to get the heat happening on these here. This is all I've got left to remove, is 2 serial ports and an ADB port. So yeah, we're good. Hairdryer. No, I don't use a hairdryer. I use a hot air station. The only issue that I used to have, was when I would, if you used too much flux, if there was too much flux, and it was particular, if it was a flux that started to harden at the end of it. So you would use some flux on there, and you would melt the balls, and you'd have the stencil on and everything. And then when you go to remove the stencil, the flux is all hardened and stuck the stencil onto the chip, and it's hard to get the chip off. So you've got to apply a little bit of heat to kind of get it off. But hey, oh look, this is great! I cannot believe how easy this has been. This is starting to pop. When they pop, you know that it's getting hot. Hey! Oh yeah, we're getting bubbles. So I would really like to get this off soon, because once you start getting bubbles, it's delaminating. And when it delaminates, you get all the fumes for the shit that's holding it together. And I can do without that. Come on. Come on! I'm here! Get off the board! There we go. That was the ADB port. Why was that so hard? That's only like 4 pins. I want you to come off without breaking, please. Alright. I think it's still in one piece, so that's good. So, let me just have a quick look. I think that's everything. I'll take it off. I mean, oh god, components just falling off. But that's okay. I expect that. I have to put this somewhere where it's not going to melt everything. So, I'll just pop it there for now. Oh, some components fell off. It's okay. That's under warranty. Right. Now I have to put this thing somewhere where I don't burn myself because it is just ridiculously hot. Oh, got some passives on the bottom. That's to be expected. Hello, Dan. Wishing it wasn't 4 a.m. here. Alright, I'd keep watching. Come on. It's, what is it, Saturday? Saturday morning? What have you got to do that's so important on Saturday that you can't stay up? Hey? Hey? Stay up and watch me drink alcohol. There we go. Okay, so just a reminder to everyone, I'm drinking a white Semillon Sauvignon Blanc. It's a cheap plonk, but that's the kind of person I am. So, I am actually. This is just me, and I make no judgment about anyone else in the way they do stuff. But I absolutely do not like using stencils and solder paste for surface mount. So I see people do it. I see, you get the board and you put the stencil on and you put the paste on and then you drop the components on one at a time and then you just apply heat and then all the components, the paste melts and all the components just, sit in position. It's the surface tension of the solder and the flux and everything just pull the component into position. And it all looks beautiful. It's great. And that's how they build, that's how boards are made. But I just don't like doing it. It takes all the fun out of it for me. I really like hands-on putting one component on at a time. Because I'm a freaking weirdo. All right. I'm really happy about this. These came off. I've been dreading this. I've been putting this off and dreading it because I thought it was going to be a friggin' nightmare. And that was all right. So, here we are. Fume extractor is on because it does smell a little in here. Apologise for the noise. I do have a bit of trouble getting this board to fit on the table. Not because the table is too small, but simply because there is way too much mess on here. Someone did actually recently say in a comment of one of my live streams, I don't know how you get any work done with all the mess on the table. And to my response to that is, I don't know how you get any work done leaving stupid messages on YouTube videos. But, I do not mind. You've got to make sure you get this on the right way, because if you put it on backwards, there's just like no way you're taking it off again. This is a 1 litre that I'm drinking here. So this is Hardy's. I usually pick this up from Dan Murphy's for about $7, $8 a bottle. $7 or $8 for a 1 litre. Can't complain about that. I mean, I really had no option because I go through much of this shit, but okay. Nifty stuff. So this is one of the awesome things that Bold did when he designed this. He made it so that you can use either type of real-time clock chip. So you've got these ones here, the little dip type ones, 8-pin dip, and then you've got these little PLCC ones. And he's set it up so you can go with either if you want. And I just think that's so cool. And you can use the little, what do they call these ones? Like a tuning fork or something like that, a wishbone. I don't know. This particular type of oscillator, or you can use this type of oscillator. It's made pads for both of them. So cool. Well, it's interesting you say that, Russell, with the solder sucker. I have one, but I tend not to use it these days. It's just too much of a pain in the ass to switch it on, and it blocks too easily. It's not a good one, okay? So I'll just straight up, I'll own up to that. It's not a good one. So I myself tend to use this guy here or solder wick. Again, each to their own. You go with what you like. Many smart people out there makes me feel stupid. you know, there's a really, really important thing you have to remember. If you are aware of the fact there are people out there smarter than you, and this is something that I'm very, very aware of, because in doing what I do, this sort of repair stuff and this vintage computer stuff, I become very aware of incredibly smart people. Some of the people that send me stuff, you know, I mean, I get sent stuff from these really clever people, and they send me these things, and I'm just like, how did you do that? You know, your brain is amazing. But there are people out there who aren't too smart, who think they're smart. They think they're like the smartest people out there. Having an awareness of people that are smarter than you is definitely a sign of intelligence. So, and you know what? We don't have to be the smartest out there. We really don't. I mean, sometimes I speak to people and they're way smarter than me. And then they talk about people that are way smarter than them. And I go, no, we're going too far here. We just have to stop. Dan, what am I working on? I'm working on a Macintosh 2FX. So I don't know how familiar people are with this, but the Macintosh 2FX was Apple's flagship. So ultimately, Apple, as we know, they're known for originally the old... what are these components? And why are they just sitting here? And why am I asking you? Anyhow. So Apple are known originally for the Apple IIe computer. Very, very important in the personal computer industry. We had the Apple II and IIe. They were showstoppers, okay? They changed the industry. Then, of course, the graphical user interface came along, and that was with the initially the release of the Lisa, and then the Macintosh computer. And so Apple were known for these little compact Macs, the all-in-one with a little tiny 9-inch screen, very high resolution, but black and white. Then the demand came for expandability. People wanted expansion slots. They wanted color. They wanted more space. So that was when Apple then started producing their modular computers. So that was the Macintosh 2, followed the Macintosh 2X, then the 2CI and 2CX. I think it's CX and CI, or whatever, probably came out around about the same time. And then the Macintosh 2FX. When this came out, this was one of the fastest computers. Well, this was the fastest computer Apple had ever produced, and it was one of the fastest computers around at the time. It was a really impressive piece of hardware. They've done all sorts of stuff to make these run really quickly, and one of the things they did was it uses RAM unlike any other computer. The only other Apple device that uses RAM similar to this is the Macintosh 2FX. The LaserWriter 2NT. There we go. So anyhow, this was the Duck's Guts, and it's become very, very collectible. And one of the big problems with these is they had two batteries here, what they call PRAM, or, what do they call them, like CMOS, BIOS batteries, whatever. Batteries to hold the clock time and all that sort of stuff. This had two because these batteries were also involved in the startup circuit, so these batteries needed to be here to switch the computer on. And these batteries leaked. And what happened is people put these computers away in their cupboard, and they forgot about them, and then these batteries exploded and they leaked out all this corrosive alkaline all over the board. Just made an absolute mess, and in a lot of cases damaged them beyond repair. Beyond practical repair, let's say. Not beyond repair as such. A lot of the time these things can be repaired, but it's just how much time are you going to put into it. And anyhow, this is a reloaded board. So essentially what happened is this person, Boll, he ended up redesigning the board from schematics, then got them made up, prototyped or whatever, got these boards made up so that you could take these boards with all the damage to them from the battery corrosion, and you could just move all the parts across from that to this. And this is what we have here, and this is almost finished. I've just got a few more parts to put on it, and it looks like I will finish it tonight, and then I can send this back to its owner, who is Kai Robinson, who some of you may know. And yeah, so yeah, so I mean, with these, you can still buy these batteries, these half AA batteries. They're 3.6 volts lithium. You can still buy them. They last for, well, they say they're supposed to last for 10 years, but I've seen some of these that have lasted for 40 and still had a charge. So, but some of them are more susceptible to failure than others, and yeah, after about 20 years, you know, it's Russian roulette, really. Yes, yes. So there are two different ways that these. So the term we generally use with these is reloaded. Okay, a reloaded board. And so what we're meaning is that someone has taken the original board and replicated it. But there are two different ways you can replicate a board. And one way is that you can get the original board and you can sand it down until you expose all of the top traces and the bottom traces. Generally, the inside is either just ground or power. So the inside's a little bit easier to work out. It takes a bit of work, but you can just basically scan in the traces from the top, scan in the traces from the bottom, then you bring them into, Sprint or whatever it's called, and you literally just trace it out. You copy it. You do a literal line-by-line copy of the board. And that's how a few of them have been done. The Macintosh SE reloaded, the Macintosh Classic reloaded, I think the 2SI, which is being worked on at the moment. So some of these were literally just a line-by-line. They would just literally trace the old board to make the new one. Then there are other ones like this, and this is where someone has actually gone in and they've maintained the position of a lot of things here. So things like the RAM slots, the PDS slots, anything that relates to poking out the back of the case, like these connector ports and all that sort. All of these are in exactly the same position. But everything else, they've redone. And in the instance of this guy here, Boll, who redid a Macintosh SE30 board, the original was a 6th layer, and he redesigned it into a 4-layer to save money. And of course, they can make traces smaller these days, so that was one of the ways that he did it. But it was just a really clever thing that he did, that he redesigned it. And when he redesigns these, he makes them better than the original. And some of the things that he does are, he's made this now so that if you want to, you can power it off an ATX power supply rather than the original power supply. And that's all something that he just added that to the design when he made it. He has made it so that you can use the original half AA battery holders, or you can use coin cell batteries on there. He's made it so that you can use this later version of the real-time clock chip, or an earlier version of the real-time clock chip. And in the instance of the SE30, he made it so that you could actually solder the ROMs straight onto the board rather than having them as a ROM sim. This has a ROM sim. So, yeah, I mean, and this is another thing he's done here. These chips here, he's made it so that you can either use the original DIP chips or you can use these newer ones. So, really clever stuff. It's great. Hello, Foxhound477. Thank you for joining. So, debugging a board that size and complexity is not... Well, have a look at this one. You think that's bad? Check this one out. This is another one he did. This one's even bigger. In fact, this is one of the biggest boards. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I have such a large ultrasonic cleaner, because of these boards. This is a Quadra 950 board, and he did this. He did the same thing with this as well. He clearly has a lot of time on his hands, doesn't he? So he gave this the same treatment. Quadra 950, another very, very collectible vintage Mac, and he did a reloaded board of that one too. His stuff he always does on purple PCBs, so it's this guy, Boll, when it's on a purple PCB. So, yeah, this is another sort of work in progress, this one. There are problems here, which I won't go into now, because, to be honest, it's my own stupidity. But, yeah. And, how about this one? He made this one. He got it right first go. Seriously, this is the first prototype. This is the version 1 prototype, and it just worked first go. This one here, which is the 2FX, this is the first prototype. This one has one mistake in it, where I've had to do a little bodge wire down here. You can't see it, but there's a little wire that I've run across here. Foxhound 477, I personally am doing quite well. I hope everyone else is as well. I'm doing a lot of talking, but it is my live stream. So, one of the other things that Bold did, and I bought this from him, I didn't realise at the time I bought it, I was buying something that was very, very rare. I mean, it was rare originally, but even when he made reproductions of it, he had very limited parts availability, so it's still rare. But he made a reproduction of a board that was made for a Macintosh SE30. So, for those aren't familiar, Macintosh SE30, compact Mac, made by Apple in, what is it, 88? Something like that. 88, 89. Very old, you know, a long time ago. But it was a pretty amazing computer. For a little compact Mac, a little 9-inch compact Mac, it was expandable up to 128 megabytes of RAM, and that was just unheard of. I mean, no one did it. You couldn't buy 128 megabytes of RAM back then, but theoretically you could do it. And, of course, that's what a lot of people do with them now. They upgrade them because the RAM is a lot cheaper. There was a board that you could buy for an SE30, an internal upgrade, that allowed you to make the computer grayscale. All of the Macs, all of the compact Macs, the original compact Macs, they were black and white. It's just basically 1 bit per pixel, black or white. That was it. And someone brought out an upgrade for the SE30 at the time, which would allow you to take it to 8 bits per pixel, one of 256 shades of grey. They had a 4-bit version as well. And that board was very rare because it's not like, it wasn't a user, like an end user kind of upgrade. You would have to take your computer in for the upgrade because it had to be opened up and stuff needed to be changed inside. You needed to change the neck board and stuff like that. So it was quite an upgrade. But a few people got it and they've become incredibly collectible. Well, what Bold did was he recreated it with a slightly different graphics chip, but he recreated it and made a grayscale mod for an SE30. And it is just like, that's one of the things that everyone wants on those old SE30s. And anyhow, when I heard that he was making it, I said, oh, I want one. And it cost me a packet. It cost me like 400 and something euros, which in Australian dollars, it's, you don't even want to know. And anyhow, sent it to me. When he made it, I got it, installed it. Just awesome. Grayscale, 256 shades of grey on an old SE30. It's kind of pointless and stupid, but it's so awesome, and I love it. As a vintage computer collector, you get excited about that sort of crap. And so, yeah, I mean, I got that, and then once I had it, I started telling people about it. And a friend of mine who was desperate to get hold of one, he was like, "Oh," I said, "Oh, mate, just get in touch with him. You'll buy one from him." You know, money wasn't an object for this guy. He wanted the grayscale upgrade. And so he contacted him, and then he found out that was it. He'd made a handful of them. He used a particular chip. There was only a certain amount of them. So he made them, and that was it. That was just a short run. And I was devastated. I was really hopeful that other people would get them. And of course, you know, this guy wasn't happy either. Sean from Action Retro. Well, I don't know if anyone watching here is not aware of Sean from Action Retro. Sean got one as well, and he did a little video on it. I was supposed to do a video on it, but it ran out of time. Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm going to start soldering some stuff. I've been talking for just so long, I think I should probably solder some stuff. So this is the little power connector for the hard drive. I'm just going to, I might need to change my glasses here, get me goggles. I've got my special goggles. Here we go. Here's my special goggles. So these are the glasses I got made up a while ago. And they're a bit dirty. Oopsie. Might even be scratched. Oh, no, that's just gunk. Yeah. So these they're designed. So they've got the little magnifier part here. Because I'm old, you know. And I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm old enough for my eyes to be going. So, I mean, going is a relative term, isn't it? How's the spag bowl coming along there, Nick, is it? Are you happy with it? You want to let those guys sit on the heat for a while. You know, you really get those flavors developing after a while, don't you? You know, you just sort of you don't want to just mix it all up and then serve it. You got to let that simmer away for. Well, for me, I like to have it simmering for at least an hour before serving. Which way around does this go, do you reckon? Okay, I've narrowed it down to 50-50. I need a working 2FX board to check, which I have. I've got a good one here somewhere. Is that one? Nope, that's it. Nope. I do have one. I had one earlier tonight. I was just looking at it. Oh, it's right here in front of me. What? No, that's a 2X. Not a 2FX. Talking shit. I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to see if I can... Oh, hang on. Is that one? Yes! Found it. No. Yes. Okay. I found it. It's all good. Everyone can relax, you know. It's fine. It's fine now. How are you? Everything's fine now. 4:14 a.m. Well, I am very, very pleased you're up. Because, you know, the more the merrier. That's what I say. This has got some solder on it. I could get some solder wick out to try and get rid of it. But I'm getting a little bit lazy. And if I can just get this in the hole, then I'll be fine. Yes, I got it in. Thank you. Okay, so this is my connector here. I'm going to solder this in. I'm going to do this little trick that I do sometimes when I need a third hand, which I don't have. So I just hold the solder here like that and melt it on so that we're getting the what do you call it? The flux. So this is a flux core solder. And if you try and solder without flux, it's very, very difficult. So this is just a way I can utilize. There we go. Once I've got 2 pins in, or even one, I'm fine. I can just solder the rest in like this. I'm using a bevel tip. It's my favorite soldering tip to use. Just works for me. I just find it works in a whole variety of situations. So, all right, so that is our little Molex connector for the hard drive power. So that spits out 5 volts and 12 volts. Yeah, so Nick is you're in Victoria, aren't you? So we're in the same time zone because it's just south of Sydney. It's the same horizontal, it's just the vertical downwards. That's as in same east-west. Very similar east-west, it's just south. So, get some wine. I think, Nick, I don't know what sort of wine you drink, but I think with bolognese you're going to want a red, aren't you? I would have thought. Right, so that is an ADB port. For those who don't know, that is Apple Desktop Bus. And that is what Apple used right up to the point they changed over to USB. And it was met with, you know, mixed reactions when people suddenly weren't able to use their ADB stuff anymore. There were adapters. You could get on, I think, called an iMate, which allowed you to plug into USB and then stick an ADB port in. Now there are things like, I'll go grab one. A thing called an iHopper. This is an iHopper. No, sorry, HID hopper. HID hopper. HID hopper. This is made. Excuse me. Excuse me. This was made by Androda, tech by Androda, November 2023. And so this is a little device where you can get your original ADB mouse or keyboard, and actually a whole bunch of other things they made in ADB, and you can connect it via USB to a modern computer. Francois! Griffin iMate. I have 2 of those. Now, there was a time when the Griffin iMate was selling for stupid money on eBay. I don't know if anyone remembers, but they were like going for hundreds of dollars because that was it. You know, they didn't make them anymore and people wanted to use them. But then, of course, you had people like Big Mess of Wires that went in and created the... It's named after an Australian marsupial, but I can't bloody remember which one. What is it? The one that Big Mess of Wires made, the ADB connector thingy. And then there were several other ones that got made. Rabbit Hole Computing, which do the Zulu SCSI and the SCSI to SD. They produced one called the Quokka. I remember that. And then, of course, there's this one here, which is open source. You can just download. You can actually just go onto the GitHub. You can get the Gerbers, and you can get your own PCB done. Source these connectors. It uses a Raspberry Pi Pico there to do all the controlling work, and you can just program the Raspberry Pi, and bang, away you go. Wombat. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, so that is really nifty. But anyhow, I digress. I am putting an ADB connector onto this. One of the advantages of ADB was that it actually had 5 volts. So you could actually power some things with it as well. And I remember many, many moons ago, because I am old, someone brought out a little external hard drive for Compact Macs. Mac SE probably. It's around about the Mac SE era, let's say. And the little hard drive would be in a little tiny case that you could just stick straight onto the back of the SCSI port. And it was powered by ADB. So you would have a little plug that would go into the ADB port, which was from the drive, and it would be powered by ADB, which is nifty. These days, things like the modern SCSI emulators, things like Blue SCSI and Zulu SCSI, they can just be powered from the termination power, SCSI termination power. But there wasn't enough there in the olden days to power a mechanical drive. So anyhow, there's go. A nice little history lesson for any young people out there who with any interest in vintage computer stuff. I am forever fascinated by vintage computer stuff. If anyone has ever seen, what's that doco by Bob Cringely? That's not his real name, by the way. That was just a name he took on for writing his column. But wasn't Revenge of the Nerds, it was something of the Nerds. There's a lot of emergency services activity out there. I can hear sirens. I'm not super close, but there's a main road not that far away, so you don't hear any of the traffic noise, but you can definitely hear when sirens are going past. It wasn't Revenge of the Nerds, it was something of the Nerds. Yep. Oh crap, that was the one I didn't want to drop. Oh, and I just stepped on it? Yep, just stepped on it. Triumph. Triumph for the nerds. I like working on vintage electronics. Yes, well, the vintage, I don't know, it's, I like sort of remembering where it came from. Did anyone here see the movie about the BlackBerry? I think it was just called BlackBerry. Double murder in Melbourne just 4 days ago, just 2 streets down from us. I did not hear about that, no. I haven't actually listened to the news much in the last couple of days. I'm normally very, very current. I normally watch the news all the time, but for various reasons, just haven't actually been able to get into the news. But I haven't had a chance to go in and watch it. But no, I had not heard about that. So, exciting times, hey? That whole saying about may you live in exciting times, that's the curse. Okay, so what am I doing now? Just for anyone who might just be tuning in and you're thinking, why on earth has YouTube suggested this video for me to watch? What is this bullshit? Well, I am working on a vintage computer. This is actually a reproduction of a vintage computer. And the original one is damaged, and I've moved all of the bad parts. I've moved all of the good parts from the bad board to the new board. And I've nearly finished. I'm literally just finishing it off now. By just a lot of these ports, they weren't needed for testing. So when I originally built it, the whole thing was about checking to make sure that it worked. And it works. Does work. Has been tested. Does work. But now I am just putting all these other parts on to make it complete. Blackberry is a good movie. I watched it twice. Rasco, I agree with you. I thought it was a great film. The other one that was really good was the one on Tetris. You know that movie called Tetris? That was a really good film. I really enjoyed that. I mean, that's one I could just sit and watch any time. So, yeah, again, I love these movies about sort of history of computers and technology and stuff like that. I sort of felt sorry for BlackBerry. I mean, you do and you don't. I mean, it's technology. It's the world out there. It's living in a big city. Ultimately, there are a few devices that come along in society that make a huge difference. You know, things like steam train, the automobile. You know, there are big moments in technological history, and while you may not necessarily rate something like the iPhone in that same sort of caliber, you have to admit that the one thing that the iPhone brought us was having the internet in our pockets. Prior to that, we were using that stupid WAP shit that was just awful. I don't know if anyone used that. I don't know if there's anyone in here in the chat that is old enough to remember that WAP shit on phones. I used to have one of those little flip phones, and you try and look up something, and it would take you like 12 minutes to type in what you're searching for, and it was just a friggin' nightmare. When the iPhone came out, we were able to access the internet on a phone in the same way that we were on a desktop computer. And of course, it just got better and better at it. And I think that another good history movie series was Browser Wars. I would watch that in a heartbeat. I might watch it tonight when I finish. What, is that on Netflix or something? Where can I find that? Do we think Apple is missing the boat with AI? It's interesting. I am totally in two minds with AI. I see huge advantages with it. You know, I mean, like I use it sometimes for my videos. I might just go into ChatGPT and I'll just say, can you write me an intro paragraph for a video about something or other? And it'll just write it, and I'll just plunk that in for one of my YouTube videos. Then there are other times, like the other day when I was asking it for something and it was just churning out shit because it just did not understand what I was saying. So, let me give you an example. This is an example. This is exactly what I was trying to do. Who here in the chat is familiar with the concept of a cartoon, someone getting angry and their face getting red and steam coming out their ears? Can you picture that? Can you picture that in your head? Do you have that image of a cartoon character getting angry and their face getting red and steam coming out of their ears? So I think most people of a certain age, some people may not have seen it, but people of a certain age will know that image that I'm trying to portray. So I tried to get AI to generate me an image of that in, sort of thinking of what happens to a cartoon character when they're angry. And my God, after so many tries, it just churned out so much garbage and nothing there that even remotely was close to the sort of thing that I was after. Now, AI is... I've had some... as I say, I've had mixed... As I'm a developer, so sometimes I will just jump on to AI and I'll say, write me some code to do this. And I had an instance where I needed to... Well, not needed. I could have done it myself. I was just getting lazy. I wanted to work with a Google API. And I said, write me some code to do this. Blah, blah, blah. And it just spat out some code and said, here you go. And they had used a deprecated function. So deprecated in coding means it's no longer being used. It's been outdated. There's a new one and it's gone. The old one is gone. It's not being used. And they were using deprecated code. And I said, the code you have written is no good because you are using a deprecated function. And a little bit of think, oh, you are quite right. Yes, we are using it. And they started using, and the new one was a mix. The code they rewrote was a mix of the old and the new. Now, I was able to take that code and take my knowledge and make it work. But that was a very frustrating exercise. Hated Netscape. Oh, wow. I loved Netscape in the early days. When it became Navigator, when it was Netscape Navigator, I enjoyed it. When it became Netscape Communicator, and it was all mixed in with email and stuff, it just turned into bloatware. It was awful. I've got a heater down here and it's running out of gas. I'm going to probably have to stick a new gas thing on. Turn it up because my bum's getting cold. Oh. Can't have a cold bum. And I haven't been drinking either. It never understands. It just looks like it does sometimes. Okay. It was good to watch. It came in 7 episodes. So the Browser Wars, I would watch that. As I say, I will watch that in a heartbeat. I'm not sure I'll get through all 7 episodes tonight, but I will definitely give it a try. This has to be the slowest soldering live stream I have ever done. I have literally soldered on, 5 components? Oops. That's the wrong one. That's an ADB port. We don't want that. We want a serial port. There we go. That's the one you were talking about. Okay. All right. Because now I'm getting mixed up. Oh, hey, Netscape. You were talking... Okay, when you said that's what I was talking about, you were talking about Netscape Communicator, yeah. Yeah, that was that was a game changer and not in a good way. Netscape Navigator used to be a great little browser. It was really good. And then when it became Netscape Communicator, and you would go to install it, and you go to launch, and you go, all I want to do is launch this browser and browse a page. And it would come up and it would go, please create your identity thing, and you put your name in, and please enter your email stuff. And you're like, I don't want to do any of this shit. I just want to browse the web. Yeah. And you know what's really funny? In those early days on the Mac, Internet Explorer was really good. It was only much later that it became crap. Microsoft sort of tried to create their own standards rather than keeping with the actual web standards. And as a web developer, it was a nightmare because you would have to create web pages. You would have to create alternatives of everything for Internet Explorer users. And that just sucked. When they actually
when they gave up the ghost with Internet Explorer, it was a joyous day for us web developers because we didn't have to worry about it anymore. We could just code for, the popular browsers and not worry about Internet Explorer anymore. Because you literally had to write completely different code for Internet Explorer compared to every other browser out there. Really frustrating, because I am a web developer, by the way. I'm not an electronics engineer or anything like that. I'm just a boring old web developer. This is just a hobby.
I could technically say I am a YouTube content creator as well. A professional one, because I get paid for it. Ugh, man. Internet Explorer. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. I had a client. I won't say which client it was. And for many years I had this client. I will just say they had a lot to do with photocopiers in the early days. And within the organisation, they were using software that ran on a browser, and it needed an old version of Internet Explorer, and they were using it for years. And so they used to, pay me to produce some web stuff, and I kept on having to go in and make versions of it that would work on old versions of Internet Explorer, like Internet Explorer 7 or something, just so that the staff in the company could actually see it, because they were all using that old browser so that they could access software that company used. That company that in the olden days made photocopiers and then maybe made laser printers. First company that made photocopiers. What web browser do you use? That's a really good question, Foxhound. I actually use Safari, Apple's Safari, and not even necessarily saying it's a particularly good browser. I find it fairly snappy. I find it fairly good and not too much of a memory hog. I also use Chrome, but I only use Chrome mainly for there are some things that only work on Chrome, and so I use Chrome for that. And I occasionally use Firefox, very occasionally. But one that I actually use every now and again for one specific purpose is Opera. Now, everyone forgets Opera. Opera's just like, yeah, Opera, yeah, yeah. If you ever need to take a PDF of a web page, use Opera. If you load up Opera and you go to any web page and you go save page as a PDF, this is on the Mac. I assume you can do it on Windows as well, but I don't know. And you go save page as PDF, it will literally make an absolutely perfect PDF of the whole page from top to bottom. Not just what you can see in the window. It will give you the whole page from top. If it's a great big long scrolling page, it will give you a magnificent PDF of the whole page. Without a doubt, Opera has the best kind of PDF converter of a web page. It's just awesome. So I use Opera for that. So if I need to take a PDF of a web page, I use Opera. But for the most part, I do use Safari, and people give me shit about it. And fair enough. I deserve to be given a bit of shit. But I just like it. For the most part. I mean, there are things about it that really piss me off. But I guess I could say that about every browser I've ever used. There are things about it that piss me off. Okay. Floppy connectors. Hey, look at that. So this 2FX, the 2FX, could actually support 2 floppies. The case was big enough. Crikey. So if you don't know a Macintosh 2FX and what it looks like, it had at the front two bays, 3.5-inch bays, and then it had a big 5 1/4 inch bay at the back. So the 5¼ inch bay, you could stick a great big 5¼ inch hard drive, because back in these days, the really big hard drives were 5¼ inch. And so you could have then 2 floppy drives up the front. So you could, this one has 2 floppy connectors. But what some people did is they didn't necessarily have 2 floppies. They would have 1 floppy, and then they could stick a 3.5-inch drive in that one, 3.5-inch hard drive, and then you could have a 5¼ in the back. And you could actually get an adapter so that you could stick a 3.5-inch in the back as well. So what you can do with a Macintosh 2FX these days, you know, you can have 2 floppies and 1 hard drive, or you can have 1 floppy and 2 hard drives, or you can have 3 hard drives if you want. I use a VPN, but I can't remember which one it was. It's not a bad one. It's pretty good. It's cheap. Thomas Armstrong, what is this purple PCB? This is Bowl's Macintosh 2FX Reloaded. Bowl, you know, this is Bowl. This is a little icon here. Very clever person, because he redesigns these boards based on the schematics. He's a real clever cookie. And he's very helpful too. When I've gone in and built his stuff and I've had to contact him about things, he's really, really genuinely helpful. And he's on a... Hello, lazy white boy. This guy, Bolt, is on a completely different intelligence level to me. I mean, I'm down here somewhere and he's way up here somewhere. So I always feel like he's incredibly generous. You know, when I'm asking questions, he's very patient. I'm not the dumbest person in the world, but I'm definitely not the smartest. No cable battery damage. No, this is brand spanking new. So this is, I built this over a series of live streams a while ago, and ultimately, it's not mine. It belongs to Kai Robinson, and he wants it back. Crazy chap. I don't know why, but just because I've had it for I don't know how long, probably like a year, he wants it back. So I want to finish it off, and I will finish it off tonight. Just watch me. Just you watch me. I am definitely feeling the effects of the wine. You can probably tell, because I am slurring my words and some stuff like that, and probably forgetting things. Don't ask me the names of actors that were in movies and stuff. I'm usually pretty good with that, but right now I probably won't remember. What is the story with Sydney Sweeney? Everyone's going on about how amazing she is and stuff. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Apparently she did a jeans commercial or something. I saw her in what's that? What was that show in the resorts? Crap? It was like three separate series, and it was set in like a resort. Can't remember. And Sydney Sweeney was in one of those, and she was awful at it. Now that's not she as an actress. I mean, she acted fine, but her character was revolting and so unlikable. And yeah, she just has the most amazing resting bitch face. So I haven't seen her in anything else. That's the only thing I've seen her in. It was that show. White Lotus, thank you. I knew someone would get it. So that's the only thing I've ever seen her in. And but I just hear so many people talking about Sydney Sweeney now. I'm like, what is the big deal here, people? Looks like he set up the board with the batteries in a different area. I could be wrong. No, you're exactly right. So this is actually the thing. I know I was talking about this before. This is one of the amazing things about what Bowl does. Bowl doesn't just take an original board, sand it back and then copy the traces, exactly. He redesigns them based on the schematics. So he gets the schematics, and he has, obviously, he knows where things need to be. He knows where the RAM needs to be. He knows where the PDSs need to be. He knows where these connectors need to be. They need to line up with the back of the board. He knows all that, but ultimately, when it comes to everything else, he's going for approximate positioning of things, but he redoes stuff. I mean, he completely redoes all the traces. Often he makes them more efficient. He makes them better using, more modern technology. He's made it so that you can either use the half AA battery holders, or you can use button cell ones. He's made it so that you can use a PLCC real-time clock chip or a DIP clock chip. He's made it so that you can power this from an ATX power supply if you want. So he just does all of this re-engineering stuff. Just so freaking impressive. Blows my mind. I keep grabbing this one and it's not what I want. That's a 2X. 2X is of no use to me. Where'd I put the 2FX? I had one. I want to be double, triple, quadruple sure I've got this around the right way before I solder it in. Because look at all those freaking pins. You imagine getting this wrong and then having to take it off again? No, thank you. Here it is. No, it's not. Is that it? What's that? 2FX. Yes, that's it. Okay, so this is definitely that way. It's like that. All right. That's what it says on the screen printing. So that is what we're going to do. I've confirmed it with an actual live board. The clock chips on these Macs are different to clock chips on other things because they actually they store stuff as well. So they have the the PRAM battery, so which little battery that keeps the thing, remembers all the clocks, the time, it remembers your mouse settings and all those sort of crap. That's all stored in the real-time clock chip. So I've had a lot of people say, oh, the real-time clock chip is dead. Oh, it doesn't matter, you can just get a replacement. No, you need an Apple real-time clock chip with these old Macs. That's how it is. But one good thing is that there are two versions of this clock chip. There is the PLCC version, which is like this, plastic leaded chip carrier. And there is the DIP version. And even though they're very, very different chips, they are ultimately the same. You just have to make sure you wire them up the right way. So people have made adapters so that you can get old ones. You can get the PLCCs and use them in place of a DIP and vice versa. It's very clever. A lot of clever people in this vintage collecting Mac stuff malarkey. I tell you what, I have been playing around with an Apple IIc lately, and I have been loving it. I used an Apple IIe a lot in the day, and I learned a lot. I knew a lot about Apple in the day. I don't remember much of it, but I've been spending a bit of time, researching my inner Apple, and really enjoying it. This sucks. Come on. There we go. I got one pin soldered. Soldered. Some people take real exception to the way I say soldered. Some people actually go and spend the time
Oh, did I get the... Yes, Josh, I did get the little paddles working properly. Yes, absolutely, 100%. So, after speaking to Kay, and after the experience I had, we basically figured that the only logical reason they were not working is because that that Apple IIc hasn't had anything plugged into that port for, oh, fuck knows how long. Decades? Oh, what's the hole in the board for? There's a little pillar thing that goes up through there. So when you put this board in, there's a piece of plastic that sticks up, and that plastic holds the hard drive bay on top. So it's like there's a little plastic, what would you call it? I don't know, a little pillar type thing. So, yeah, the board slots over that pillar, and the pillar holds up the hard drive bay. So, we basically came to the conclusion that the reason why I couldn't get the paddles to work is because there was corrosion inside that port. Because I didn't do anything. I mean, I literally pulled them apart and I put them back together again, unplugged them and plugged them in again, and they worked perfectly. So the conclusion we made was that the unplugging and plugging in again was probably it. They probably weren't making good contact because the port hadn't been used in such a long time, probably corroded, and so just unplugging and plugging it in again was enough to just get some of that corrosion scraped off, and then they just started working. So there was nothing wrong with the paddles. The paddles were perfect. There was nothing wrong with my soldering. There was nothing wrong with my assembly. Everything worked fine. We think that was probably the reason. So. All right. So I have soldered in 2 pins for this port to basically hold it in position. I'm going to just give this a good old push. Melt and a push. Yep. Melt and a push. Good. So I'm content that this is flush with the board. I'm now going to solder in a shit ton of pins. So if I have got this on backwards and I solder it on and it's backwards, I would never take it off again. I would literally just shave off the little bits of plastic that don't allow the thing to go on the wrong way. This is a PDS slot, this one I'm soldering on, which stands for Processor Direct Slot. And all sorts of things you could plug into that. You could stick accelerators, cache cards, all sorts of stuff. It was designed to be a direct communication with the CPU. And so, things like CPU upgrades, that's what they were used for. I don't know if anyone made any for the 2FX. I know that some of the computers, some of the Macs had them. Like, for instance, the 2CI had a processor direct slot. Let's go to the scope. There we go. Oh, God, look at the colour. It looks ridiculous. That's my stupid camera. Sorry, everyone. All right, let's solder some pins. Should we sing while we do it? No, please don't. Might stick the Fume extractor on if it's all the same to you. Does he? I don't know. Does he? Yes, he does. Oh, are you talking about Bowl? Yeah. Bowl has done Macintosh SE30. He has done the 2FX. He has done the Quadra 950. He's done a whole bunch of other things as well. He's done accelerators. So he did a 68040 accelerator for an SE30. He did a grayscale board for an SE30. What else? He does heaps of stuff. I think we're talking about someone here whose mind is never at rest. Oopsie. This will get ultrasonic cleaned after I have finished soldering it. Not necessarily tonight. It's a bit late. I have behind me a Vevor 30-litre ultrasonic cleaner. I did a product review for it probably a year or so ago. And it is the business. I don't use it for every bit of ultrasonic cleaning I do because it's so big. And it does take a while to heat up the liquid inside it. But for a board like this, Quadra 950, I can just drop the board in all its giganticness. I can drop it in, just clean one side, clean the other. Don't have to flip it over or anything like that, because I used to clean larger boards in my small ultrasonic cleaner. You'd have to do half in, half out, then you flip it over and do the other side. It's a real pain in the butt. Bridge. Oh, so many pins. What is the website for this guy? That's a good question. Just do a search for Bolle, B-O-L-L-E. You will probably find he has a GitHub, so maybe even Bolle GitHub. But he's not like an active seller of stuff, I don't think. Not like some of the providers of this vintage stuff. But he's very active on some of the community websites. I should mention Tinker Different. Tinker Different is a forum for technically minded folks. Don't let that scare you away. I mean, there are some very smart people on there. There are dodos like me as well. And people just get on there and talk about tech stuff and vintage computers, and it's not just all Macs. I mean, because I love all sorts of vintage computers. I've even got an Amiga. How about that? An Amiga 500. I say that, but I'm probably going to sell it. I don't use it. Makes no sense for me to have it if I'm not going to use it. Rather give it to someone who's going to use it. Oops. Bridge. Bridge. One way you can get rid of a bridge is to stick a nice good flux on there. And that will make it really fluid. Really fluid. And then it will just unbridge itself. Bridge over troubled solder. Nice one. We're nearly done, by the way. You can't see. So when I'm looking through this microscope, I see a great big circle, but only a rectangle comes out onto the live stream. And so you can't actually see this, but we're nearly at the bottom. What I'm soldering now, there are only 3 more rows after this. Oh, and I just bridged again. Bada boom. Bada bam. And that's it. Who would have known? It would be so enjoyable. Let's have a look at this. This is quite a momentous occasion. That is one... Oh, I'm going to zoom out. That is a fully complete... Do you like my mouse? I got it for really cheap because it looks so stupid. Where's my wine? Does anyone know where... Oh, here it is. I found a little piece of shelf space here. That is a complete 2FX reloaded board. That's my first complete 2FX... Oh, no, it's not. I've got to stick battery holders on there. What an idiot. Okay. I've got some here. I'm just going to remember where I put them. Where did I put the battery holders? This would be a good place. No, wrong ones. I bought a ton of them. I got a great big bag of battery holders. Where do you reckon I put them? That is a rhetorical question. You do not need to answer. Maybe up here? Well. Nope. Nope. I just have a feeling like it's behind me. You know, every now and again you have a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. So I'm just gonna look here. No. 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 Where are my battery holders? I got stacks of them. I could have put them away in containers, but there's so many of them. They take up too much space for containers. So maybe up here. Oh, look at my bald head. How cool is that? They're probably just on the desk here. That's my system. They're probably in a plastic bag, floating around on the desk. Ugh. What's that? Nope. That's double-sided tape. Close, but no cigar. Because other than that, I mean, they're not difficult to solder on. There's only like 2 pins, but I just... Where would I have put them? Please, please, don't try and answer. Most of the time when I put things in places, I put them somewhere logical. Like, okay, this is a good place to store this. But... Okay, I feel like I'm getting warm, okay? So... Oopsie. Oh, crap, that's on my LED lights. I definitely feel like I'm getting warm. Ugh. Oh, God, that's heavy. Whatever that is. David R., hello there. So I'm looking for battery holders at the moment, and I feel like I put them somewhere. Oh, they're the wrong ones. Hey! No, they're not the ones either. Is that? No. What about? No. Could it? No. I've got some cool stuff in here. Got these little 4 megabyte RAM kits. They're awesome. Love those. I love being able to just punch out loads and loads and loads of 4 megabyte RAM sims. Nope. I've got a stack of battery holders. These ones here. They're half AA battery holders, but they're not like the originals. They're fully functional. They're good, but they don't look like the originals. And oh, found some. It's not many, but I found some. I only need 2. I'm sure I have more than that, but it will do. It will do. So, okay, we can call off the search now. Everything is fine. I'm fine now. It's fine. Okay. Oh. Right. So, I was just about to start, congratulating myself for having finished this and realised that I had to put some battery holders on here. I better not buy any more of these because I feel like I have heaps of them somewhere. Right. It's only 4 pins to solder, so shouldn't take long. There's the minus, there's the plus. Oopsie. I did check with the owner of this board, specifically Kai Robinson. I checked with him to say, what sort of battery holders you want me to put on here? And he said, originals please. He always says please. He's very polite. All right. Why is that like that? Okay, let's get rid of that. This has a little plastic hole here, and there's no plastic hole on the board for it, so I'm going to just get rid of it. Sorry, it's like a little blip thing for going into a hole to get it in the right position, but there is no corresponding hole for the blip. Just don't want to get this wrong. I have been drinking, and if I were to solder this on with the wrong polarity, I would feel like such a wally. Okay. Oh dear, I'm having frozen pizza for dinner tonight because I couldn't be bothered cooking anything. This soldering station that I'm working on here heats up to soldering temp in about 5 seconds. So I just say that in case you're using a soldering iron or soldering station, and yours isn't heating up in that speed, you should get this one. Sorry, I just feel like I'm not... Come on. Thank you. There we go. Just needed to get it hot enough. The solder wasn't really wrapping around the metal properly, but once I just sat there with the heat long enough, it's all good. The flux helps as well. Fluxes have a certain level of activity, or they call it activity, and that's sort of how corrosive it is. This flux that I'm using at the moment, actually it's this flux here, no, not that one, is I think they refer to it as a low activity. So it has some activity, but not high activity. So it's not super corrosive, but it will work a little bit on joints that are a bit corroded. Okay, that's plus. But as much as possible, when it comes to soldering, you just want everything to be as clean as possible. Come on. There we go. Oopsie, come on, stay together. There we go. Got it in. I know I'm late, but what is this board? This is a Macintosh 2FX board. It's a 2FX Reloaded. This has been built over a series of live streams that I have done. And I decided I wanted to get it finished. Well, let's just say I was getting a little bit of pressure from Kai Robinson, who owns this board. He was definitely keen to get it back. You know, it's not like I just was sitting there and not sending it to him because I'm an asshole. I just hadn't finished it, and it just needed to be finished. There's a lot of work. I mean, this took, I don't know how many hours, but many, many hours of work to get this done. But, of course, Kai Robinson has done an awful lot for me over the years, so I was more than happy to do it. All right. Okay, now we can start doing a bit of self-congratulation. So I'll top up some wine. So, top. There we go. No, got to zoom out. Why not coin cell batteries? That's very interesting to say. So I think it's probably coming from... I don't know. It sounds ridiculous to say this when you're looking at a purple PCB, but maybe a preservation of what was there originally. I mean, what was there originally was not freaking purple, so that's kind of a stupid thing to say. But
I think that was it. I think there was just like, the original board used the half AA batteries, so I am going to put on half AA batteries as well. You can, of course, get these lovely little adapters that people have designed, a little PCB that you drop a coin cell battery into, and they slot in. They call them like a toaster or something, the battery toaster, and so they slot in almost like a piece of toast into a toaster, and they slot in here, and you can use a 3-volt lithium. Even though the originals were 3.6 volts, you can stick in a 3-volt battery, and it'll work. It has no idea. It's not like, oh my goodness, where's that 0.6 volts? I can't cope. It'll just do it, So, so I give him what was originally there, and should be fine. But yeah, now I can start doing a little bit of self-congratulation because I have finished. So this is now a complete Macintosh 2FX board. Now you might see a few gaps, but they're actually deliberately gappy. Like specifically here, that was an option for a different real-time clock. Yes, I've definitely been drinking. That's an option for a different real-time clock chip should you choose to use it. I don't know what that is. Jumper. Is there a jumper on this? That's the wrong freaking board. Why do I keep grabbing the wrong board? Because it's right there, that's why. Jumper. Yeah, there's a jumper there. No idea what it does. But I should probably put a jumper there. I'll solder one on there because the original had one. So I've got to stick a jumper here. And what else? We've got the option of putting in a header here for ATX power supply. But I think this is going into a machine using an original power supply, so not really an issue. You can use a crystal there. 2 different types of crystal. You can use one or the other. So you've got those options there. Give yourself a pat on the back for a job well done. Thank you very much. It took me way longer than it should have, but that's what can I tell you? That's just how I do things, or don't do them, as the case may be. But yeah, it's a very satisfying thing producing something like this. I will definitely take some photos of it and stick it up on the socials. And all of this stuff, all of the surface mount stuff was all done a while ago. That's easy for me. I don't say that with arrogance, but at the end of the day, I much prefer surface mount to through hole. And because what I had to finish off tonight was all these through hole components. And that's done. So that's really great. I'm really, really pleased with that. How long have I been going for? Nearly 2 hours. How about that? What have I got? This says I've got 22 people viewing. I don't know if that is actually the case. If you are watching, and feel free to jump on and say hello if you haven't already. I will probably be wrapping things up fairly soon because it is getting to the point where I'll probably want to eat some food soon. Part of me wants to test this, but at the same time, I don't know if I have everything here. I mean, I know it works because I've already tested it, but I'm not sure if I have all the bits that I need. Power supply and whatnot. I could probably get it to beep. I don't know. People want me to get it to beep. Beep. Yeah. But anyhow, I've got a few more things that I need to kind of get done. I need to build another blue SCSI. I did one on a live stream the other day. But I have got another computer here that needs a blue SCSI. It's been in the bin. I mean, or in the trash. This is it here. It is a Macintosh LC2. Cops a lot of shit, as it deserves. Stupid bloody 16-bit crap. But they were low cost. Why is there a coin cell battery in there? Never mind. Yeah. Captain Bucko, hello there. Negroni. Oh man, I tell you what, I got to tell you a quick Negroni story. I mean, I'll keep it short. I promise you. I lost a very, very good friend 5 years ago. Passed away way too young.
in his 40s, basically. From, basically a blood clot got into a vein, a big sort of vein coming out of his lungs, and it just, he died in his sleep. And it was devastating because was my best friend and a wonderful person, and his death impacted many, many, many people. But he loved a Negroni. He really loved a Negroni. And a couple of weekends ago, I caught up with some friends to sort of commemorate, to sort of mourn, 5 years since losing him. And, and his brother ordered a Negroni. He said, this is for him, so I'm going to order a Negroni. And he ordered the Negroni, and he had a sip, and he's like, oh. It was so funny. It was really funny to watch him because, it was all about the sort of marking the occasion and stuff. But at the end of the day, he doesn't particularly like Negronis, but he ordered one anyway. And I just, that made me laugh. I enjoy a Negroni, as I generally refer to them. It's a grown-up cocktail because it's not particularly sweet. It's got that sort of, sharpness about it, but it is a very nice cocktail. I do enjoy one. Thank you, Foxhound 477. I appreciate that. Yeah. Souvlaki over charcoal for dinner. Souvlaki. Nice. Yeah. Love a good souvlaki. Yes, indeed. So anyhow, yeah. So this is a Macintosh LC2. I got hold of this from a friend of mine who just gets hold of stuff. And any time he sees something with an Apple logo, he just sends me a message and says, is this worth anything? And when he sent me this, I said, look, I'll grab those from you. I always give him a decent price, but at the same time, I pay him in cash, and it's quick and easy. And so he's always happy to accept. I sort of say to him, every time with this stuff, I say, look, you fix that up, you sell that on eBay, you'll get X amount of dollars for it. But I will give you Y dollars right now. And he just always goes with the right now price. I'm never trying to screw him over. From my perspective, I always want to make sure he knows the potential if he cleans it all up and puts it on eBay. But a lot of the time, he can't be bothered doing that. So anyhow, he had a few computers recently, and I said, yep, no, I'll grab that. And so yeah, I have another Macintosh LC2. I like them. I like LC2s. They suck, but I like them. It's a boring old 16? I think it's a 16 megahertz 68030 CPU. An option for a 688888882 floating point unit. Apple didn't put a socket in here for the option, but I put the socket in. They've got all the holes for it, but they just never put a socket in because they were being assholes. So I put a socket in so I can stick a floating point unit in. VRAM there has some RAM on board and then 2 RAM slots here. This has got 2 1s in it. I'll put 2 4s in it, which will give it 8. And I think there's 4 on board, which will technically give it 12. But the system will only recognize a maximum of 10. So I'll put 2 4s in it. I know I'm wasting 2 megabytes, but that's fine. I would rather have it maxed out to 10. It's all been recapped, as you can see here. These are all tantalum caps. They would have originally been electrolytic caps here. But it's all been recapped. It works. It runs. Everything's good. It's fine. This is the original hard drive. I can't remember if it works or not. I think it does, but I don't think there was anything useful on it. And I want to replace this hard drive with a solid state alternative, so I'm going to stick a blue SCSI in here, but I need to build it. I haven't built one yet. So I build these myself because it's all open source. You can kind of download all the Gerbers, you can buy all of the parts, and then you can put them together yourself, and that's the way I like to do it because I love it. Next back. Finished my first spag bowl, ate it, drank some wine. Now I'm here. Well done, sir. Was it a good spag bowl? Are you happy with that?
My heater is definitely not doing enough work here. I'm starting to get cold. I'm not drinking enough wine, am I? So anyhow, I do love the LC range, even though they cop a lot of flack because they were 32-bit chips with a 16-bit bus. I do like the fact they were low cost. I do like the form factor. I like the little pizza box shape. LC, LC2, LC3, LC475, which was also the Quadra 605. I do like them. I've got a real soft spot for them, and I have several. I think I only have one original LC, maybe two. LC2s just seem to fall from the sky. I've got heaps of them. I think I've got at least three LC2s. I think I've got two LC3s, and I've got two LC475 / Quadra 605. More tastier than my wife's bag bowl. Ooh, don't you tell her that. That's not exactly what you just said there. Yeah. So anyhow, I need to build a blue SCSI for this. I will do that at some stage. I've also got this kit, and I got two kits. And I've already built one. They're both the same thing, but I haven't built the second one. But I don't like leaving it lying around not assembled. I'll need to assemble it at some stage. So it's some Apple II to Pico thing that does stuff. But I'm still getting myself back into the Apple II world. I really enjoy it, but I'm still very much a novice. I've gone from a situation where I used to be an absolute expert in Apple II stuff when I was a lot younger. Then I moved into the Macintosh world, and of course that's, what is it, like early 80s or something? I mean, that's a long time ago. That's a lot of code and stuff in the brain, and not all of the stuff stayed there. I remember I used to have this Beagle Brothers card that had all of these little cheat things for programming with the Apple IIe. I'll have to try and get hold of that again. I'm sure it's available on the web. But I definitely want to get in and start writing some stuff for Apple IIe again. I've got an idea for a game. I'm thinking about writing a game for the Apple IIe, Apple IIc, the Apple II range, strategy game. Everyone's into these sort of arcade-style games for the Apple IIe, other than things like, what was that one where everyone dies of dysentery? Oregon Trail. So everyone goes on and on about the Oregon Trail for the Apple IIe. But I would really like to make a new strategy game for the Apple II. So I'm really tempted to go in and thank you, Lazy White Boy. I'm tempted to go in and get my old BASIC coding hat back on. It's a long time since I wrote anything in BASIC, and make a little strategy game. Leisure Suit Larry. I've never played it. I know of it very well, but I've never played Leisure Suit Larry. So the Apple II, it has BASIC built in. So you can code in BASIC. There are other ways of coding for the Apple IIe, but BASIC is built in to the OS. So if you fire up an Apple IIe and you don't install any disk, you don't install any operating system, you literally just boot it up to a cursor, there is, what do they call it, AppleSoft BASIC, something like that. There is a version of BASIC built in. If you write some code and you want to save it somewhere, you're kind of stuffed if you haven't installed an operating system. I think you might be able to save it to tape, maybe. But, you ultimately need to load an operating system. There was the original DOS, was it 3.3? DOS 3.3? I think that rings a bell. DOS 3.3. And then there was ProDOS. And you can save it onto a disk. And of course, these days, people have got these smart port emulators so that you can use SD cards with disk images on them to pretend to be hard drives, and that makes life so much easier. But yeah, I mean, if I was going to write something for the Apple, I would be doing it all in BASIC. What's the best Apple II model for modern use? I mean, none really. Modern use. I don't know. I like the Apple IIc. I had an Apple IIe. I had an Apple IIe when I grew up, and I love the Apple IIe. But the Apple IIc is a lovely little compact device. There's a lovely clicky keyboard, and I've got an adapter which I got from Will from KMac Vintage, an adapter that allows you to get HDMI output. So I can get my little Apple IIc, I can get a modern monitor, and I can connect that up, and then I've got an SP to SD, smart port to SD card, little thing that I got sent from K Koba. And I can plug these things in, and I can just be sitting there with my Apple IIc, and I can load it up and just do stuff. You know, I can just be using my modern monitor, saving data onto an SD card. It's just brilliant. So the 2C, for me, has massive appeal. It's a beautiful looking computer, and in particular if you have that old ET-looking monitor, green screen monitor on the top. Yeah, so I'm definitely a huge fan of the 2C. I have a 2E as well, donated to me by Rudy from Rudy's Retro. Rudy's. I can't remember the name of his channel. I'm sorry, Rudy. That has to do with the alcohol. I'm just going to say that. Now, I just want to say to anyone, if anyone is watching this and thinks they might want to watch it again, fuck knows why. But if you decide you want to watch this again, do me a favour. Copy the link from the browser and save it. Because one of the things I do with these Workshop and Wine videos is I make them, I take them offline. So they're there, but you can only get to them with the link. You can't browse them. What do they call them? Unlisted. Yeah, I make them unlisted. So if anyone actually wants to watch this, just get again, as I say, I don't know why you would, but if you do, copy the URL, put it somewhere so that you can watch it, because I will make it unlisted once I've finished broadcasting. So, Rudy's Retro Intel, thank you. That's what was in my head, but I was just a little bit too drunk to confidently say it. So yeah, 2C, the 2C Plus would be ideal, but I don't have one of those. The 2C I think is definitely one of the better of the Apple II range to use. It's the one that I generally pull out all the time. The Apple IIe is a lot bigger because my Apple IIe runs on the wrong voltage for this country, so that's also an issue. I do have a thingy that I can use it with, but then that's a bit of a drama. The Apple IIe has the advantage of having all the slots. It has lots of slots, so you can put expansion cards in it and stuff. But the 2C, as I say, with the HDMI output and the smart port to SD, you know, it's great. It's really, really good. And some of the games on there, I mean, God, it's archaic stuff. Really archaic stuff. The quality of the graphics is horrendous. But, you know, I mean, there's a game on there, there's a game on the Apple IIe called Montezuma's Revenge. And I'll tell you what, I can sit there and play that for hours, quite happily. Right, well, I think I might wrap things up. Apart from everything else, I do need what they refer to these days as a comfort break. So I will probably start to wind things up now. Unless, of course, something catches my attention and I just keep going. That's always possible. A huge thank you to everyone who's joined me here tonight. I did absolutely no promoting of this video whatsoever. So if you're watching it, you only got a notification from YouTube. So thank YouTube for the notification. I am sorry if it was a little bit boring. Sometimes they're really interesting, but other times they're not. But we did get something done. I mean, I guess that's the good thing. Oh, wow. What was that? Something fell out. I got this finished, and I'm going to, tomorrow, I will pop this into the ultrasonic cleaner behind me. It's just here. Vevor 30-litre ultrasonic cleaner. And we'll get this all looking, you know, schmick.
I'm going to put some, there's a bodge wire here. This particular version of the board, this is not the final version, it's one of the prototypes, has a bodge wire. And I'll put some conformal coating on that to make sure that it's stuck down, it can't get ripped away or anything like that. I'll do some testing on it to make sure it works. I think these are, these are 4 megabyte SIMs. So that's 16 megabytes of RAM. It's pretty good for an old computer like this. This could, of course, excuse me, have 128 megabytes, but what are you going to do with 128 megabytes on a computer this old? I ask you. Yeah, so all went well. So, okay, I'm going to jump across here to the camera here. This is the shirt for Satanic Mac Club. If you do a search for Kero's Mac Mods, you will actually find this on their store if you want to buy it. This is a Gildan t-shirt, so if you know your size in Gildan, which a lot of people do, I certainly know my Gildan size. It's one of the fat sizes, but I do know it. Yes, so you can grab one of these, and I love it. It's such a cute design. It's really fun. I love it. I was actually going to wear a different shirt tonight, but I forgot, because I wore this on the last live stream. I didn't want people to think they only wear one shirt on a live stream. So anyhow, thank you to everyone for joining tonight. I say there was absolutely no advertising or promotion of this. So for those people that got the notification and decided to join me, I thank you very much for doing so. I have had probably about a bottle's worth now, about a litre of wine, I suppose. And I'm feeling good. Going to go watch something. I might watch that series on Browser Wars. Sounded cool. Thank you to the people who are saying they enjoyed it. I really appreciate that. I enjoyed it. I had good fun. I was sitting here drinking and doing stuff. I love it. What percentage is the wine? Oh, good question. Oh crap, that's small. 11.5%. So one bottle is 9.1 standard drinks. So all of the Australians there know what the whole concept of a standard drink is. So yeah, I'm not proud of it, but I can put quite a lot away. It is a big bottle. It's a 1 litre bottle. It's the best way to buy it. It's cheap, but it's drinkable. This is one of the great things about being in Australia. And actually, look, there are a lot of countries that are the same. But one of the great things about being in Australia, where we have, all these winemakers, there are people putting wine blends together that are very, very drinkable. Very drinkable. And they're as cheap as chips. I mean, they really are. It's wonderful or terrible, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, okay. Smash that like button. I'm going to do it. I'm going to press it. I'm going to press the thing. You ready? I'm going to do it. You ready?
Smash that like button.
Yes, that is my voice. So, yeah, if you haven't smashed the like button, please smash the like button. It's so stupid, isn't it? Smash that like button. Yeah. Everyone, have a really good night or day or whatever it is in the time zone where you are at the moment. I really appreciate 11 degrees. No wonder I'm cold. I really appreciate everyone joining me tonight. Hang on. I just got to do this. I've never done this before. I'm going to do it. Yeah. There we go. There we go. See how I'm getting it out of the sign? Yeah. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, I love it. Okay. So, have a good night. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Thanks for keeping me company, all of the normal stuff. And hope to see you at the next one. The next one I will probably be sober. So, thank you again. Hope you have a good night. Take it easy and find the button. And bye-bye.